John, it looks like you went ahead and started the webinar, and it's 2:31, so that's actually perfect, and we can see your screen. So Carol, if you want to go ahead and take it away, we can get going.
Very good.
Oh, Carol, you're on mute.
Good afternoon and welcome to the Hospitality and Tourism Update. I'm happy today to be here with my great friend and colleague, Dana Young, who I don't know about you, Dana, but I'm not sure that I've ever been this busy, this long, and had so many unusual issues to have to address. You know, we've said this before, we kind of have the playbook when it's a hurricane or now for an oil spill or you know, the Zika virus. I mean, we've had playbooks, but this playbook has been literally not something we've never had to deal with before, and we're actually writing it as each day goes along. So first, I just want to update you. All of you know about the current status of full phase 1. We're still at the 50% openings for restaurants, and I know that after being in Orlando, I'm finding out that several of our restaurants have chosen not to open even at 50%, and inquiring why, you know, I think we're learning how I've always known how different Florida is from 67 different counties, but boy, I'm really seeing it now, and I'm sure Dana is too. Like in Orlando, it was like a ghost town, and when they tell you that, you know, our business here is either the convention business or the attractions, and when they're both closed, there's virtually no business. Then you flip it over to the beaches, and I think Dana's probably got a great update about the beaches, where some of our beach areas are doing amazing and had great, you know, great occupancies over especially the holidays. Last week, I had the privilege and honor, or now I'm losing track of time, it could have even been the week before, of being with our governor and the vice president. And at that particular time, one of the things that I was able to do would be to talk to the vice president about the federal issues. We've been working very hard with the National Restaurant Association and the American Hotel and Lodging Association on the PPP. I'm sure a lot of you know by now that it passed the House 417-1. And a lot of what we've been lobbying for did get included into the PPP, like the percentage of 75% having to be used for payroll being changed to 60-40 instead of 75-25. It also broadened the scope of what some of the money can be used for. The 8 weeks was extended to 24 weeks, which now carries us to the end of the year. The loan forgiveness has changed, and there's a lot of details here that I certainly I don't want to take too much time getting into the weeds on them, but on our website, you will find a very detailed overview of the House bill. It is headed to the Senate, and I have talked to both Senator Scott and Senator Rubio's as well about this bill. We have got to get this out of the Senate. So any of you who are willing to contact one or both of our senators would be greatly appreciated in asking them to please help get the House PPP bill passed. I'd say that a couple of the major things that I've been working on, and I'm anxious to hear about Dana, because it's funny, our worlds, you know, from the marketing, her job and the marketing perspective, some days is vastly different. Some days we're doing a lot of the same work, but lately I've been working a lot on what is phase 2 going to look like. I was in hopes that we might be headed into phase 2 when in fact, unfortunately on Friday, after talking to the governor's office, I think we're still a little bit a ways from phase 2. We're lobbying hard to go to a minimum of 75% opening, if not 100% opening, with of course outdoor seating still being not only there, but you don't have to limit your outdoor seating, and keeping some of the unique things that have happened, like closing streets and allowing us to have our tables to roll out into the streets. And the counties that have done that were greatly appreciative. Key West, we've been working on the situation there where they want the temperatures taken, and then if the guest upon check-in has a temperature over 100.4, then they would stay quarantined at the hotel. They, as many of you know, open today. Well, we are not in the hospital business. We're in the hospitality business. So we do not want to have positive COVID patients quarantining in our hotel. How could we ever keep track of whether they went to the pool? That room's got to be cleaned. Someone has to go in, they have to eat. I mean, you can see all the complexities. So we're working now with the mayor's office and the general counsel down there to make it very clear that Chapter 509 does allow us not to take in anyone. The only thing we can't do is discriminate, and we're not discriminating when you have a fever. So we're working with them to change that language. You know, I feel like there's so many things going on now that have complicated all of our missions, and that's with the existing rioting that is very unfortunate that's happening in many of our major cities that have caused curfews. Restaurants that just got opened had to close back down. So as I said earlier, everything in our world seems to literally change, not just daily, but sometimes hourly. So, but I can tell you that I still believe that this glass is half full, and we are going to get back to business and back to whatever the new normal is going to look like. But none of that could even be possible without Visit Florida and our great marketing team that we have over there to help us market to the consumer. So I'm going to turn it over to my friend and colleague Dana to talk to you about the team and their great marketing efforts that they've been working on. Dana?
Well, great, Carol, and thank you FRLA and Carol for having me on today. And that was a great introduction to Carol. I hadn't heard some of the latest statistics and some of the things that you all are working on at the federal level, because as you said, we're often aligned and working together, constantly, but lately you have been in a very different role, and one, frankly, that you are well suited for, even though it's not, temperature checks and sanitation have not always been, what you were needing to deal with, but you are a great advocate for this industry, and we appreciate you so much. And so yes, and can everybody hear me? I want to make sure I'm not muted. That would be a disaster. I'm assuming if nobody's waving red flags that we're good. So I want to jump right in and talk a little bit about what Visit Florida has been doing and is going to be doing to bring visitors back to our state. Our vision has never been, our mission has never been more important than it is today. And as we continue to assess the impacts of COVID-19, let's talk a little bit about the data. Between March 1st and May 17th, hotels lost $3.1 billion compared to the same time last year. So that's absolutely huge. Since March 1st, total room demand is down 60%. And if we look at since March 15th, when things really started to go downhill quickly, hotel demand is down 72%. That represents a decrease of nearly 15 million fewer room nights sold since March 1st. Air capacity, which is not tickets sold, but actually the number of seats available to come into the state of Florida, air capacity is down for the month of June 61% year over year. And international air capacity, not surprising, is down even more at over 70%. So if Floridians didn't understand how important tourism is to their state and frankly their economic well-being, well, they do now, because when you see what happened in just 1 month of practically zero tourism, in terms of our budget and sales tax collections, you see how important it is. So last week, state economists who had originally forecasted $3 billion in state sales tax over the month of April, they reported that because of the closure, essentially the closure of the tourism industry, the state collected only $2.1 billion, so almost $9 million less than what was projected. And that is more than 33% drop in just 1 month. So that is a huge reduction. And I think that there is no better example or, case study on how important tourism is to the state of Florida and why we have got to get our tourism and hospitality industry back on its feet and back operating. I'm not telling you all anything that you haven't already known when I say this is the worst challenge that we've ever faced. But this industry is no stranger to crisis. You know, think about it. We've had oil spill, we've had the Pulse terror attack, we've had red tide, we've had hurricane upon hurricane upon hurricane, and we do rise to the occasion. And Visit Florida has been there through all of these crises, and we will be there now. In fact, if there's anything that you take away from today's conversation, it is that Visit Florida is here for you now, and we will be here for you through this entire ordeal. We are currently implementing a recovery strategy that will support all sectors of Florida's tourism industry to deliver to deliver travelers back to Florida when the time is right and as the stay-at-home restrictions and the restrictions on opening continue to ease. Our data shows that people do want to travel, and people will travel again when they gain confidence. And so our role as an industry is to instill that level of confidence in the traveler so that they feel safe and they feel comfortable. And look, I've eaten, I don't know about you, Carol, but I have traveled since the stay-at-home order was lifted. I have stayed in hotels. I have eaten in 30 restaurants probably since then, which is a lot. But I wanted to, you know, sort of be out there and serve as a litmus test for, you know, what's happening. And there is a lot of discrepancy in what restaurants are doing. They're all abiding by the rules. Some are going above and beyond. And I think that is important for the consumer to know, because even if they have a very low risk tolerance, some of the hotels and restaurants are operating at such a high level of safety protocol, like way beyond what they would be required to do. And if people knew that, then even those that are less comfortable with the concept of eating out might be more comfortable doing that. So kind of going off script, but it's important because after you've sort of been out in this world and seen what's going on, people need to know that there are a lot of places that are taking this extremely seriously. In fact, most, and we want people to travel again. So Visit Florida, we have a 4-part rebound strategy. We're kind of in between phase 1 and 2. The phases are not really coinciding with the governor's reopening phases. These represent how we will generate economic activity when appropriate. And so what I'm going to do is just very briefly highlight each of the phases. Phase 1 is the feel-good phase, where we just, you know, have pretty pictures of Florida and we keep Florida top of mind. We did a Mother's Day spot. We continue to just keep people thinking, when they're thinking about travel, make sure that they're thinking about Florida. And the click-through rate on our website has been off the charts. So people are going online, going to visitflorida.com and spending a lot of time researching and just dreaming about a Florida vacation. So we are doing some limited marketing right now in this intermediate between phase 1 and phase 2. And again, just keeping Florida top of mind. So I want to show you something pretty cool that is about to go into market. We partnered with Outside Magazine, who we partnered with last year on our adventure travel campaign. And we've created this interactive solar-powered map that will be inside the magazine when subscribers get it in June. And it reveals the wealth of Florida's natural treasures that people can experience when they come to the state of Florida. It's really, really cool. There's a QR code that directs people to a landing page that uncovers these specific destinations to let them follow their sunshine beyond the things that are quintessentially Florida. So I have a little bit of, or actually I have a video for you. The map was featured in Ad Week and is being sent to 337,000 subscribers east of the Mississippi for the June and July issue. So here's a little description in this video. Oh, it looks like we don't have the audio again. This happened earlier. Whoops, we're gonna try again. Hang on. Okay, well, you know what? We don't need the audio. John, you can just turn the audio off and go ahead and play through it. you can see, I mean, this is just sort of highlighting some of the experiences that people, that people will have. I have done enough presentations where when the audio doesn't work, which half the time it
give me 1
doesn't.
second. Let me try this one more time here to see if it
Okay.
freezes up.
Okay, if not.
Bear with us, folks.
We're not getting the audio, but let's just. So clearly we're focusing on a lot of outdoor adventures where people might feel safe, you know, showing wide open spaces and really unique things in Florida that you're not going to see somewhere else. And this is a picture of the map. I mean, it's self-explanatory. You'll see it's going to open up, and then it probably is talking about how this works, but you can see it. You go outside, and all of a sudden, things start popping up. And so this is great for kids and families to look at this and then really start thinking about a Florida vacation and what that means. And we partnered with the various destinations. As you can see here, you know, that's where it's going to be. And then they can go online and get specific information on adventure travel in Florida. So it's really cool. It's kind of thinking outside the box, which is what we like to do. And I think our creative is probably better than any DMO in the country. And so there you go. There's the map narrated by me. Anyway, so moving beyond phase 1, which is kind of between phase 1 and 2, we see Floridians as absolutely the key to our recovery. So we are going to be looking to first instill a sense of pride if people don't know it's there, but really awaken that Florida pride that most Floridians have, and use that to encourage Floridians to take a vacation within the state of Florida. So we're using that Florida pride to say, hey, get out there, see your state, support your local businesses, support our Florida businesses. Because as people aren't overly comfortable traveling, you know, to faraway places, or certainly other countries right now, or most people aren't. Florida is unique in the sense that we are a large, very diverse state, and many people haven't been here for too long. So there is an opportunity for us as Visit Florida to educate Floridians on what is available in this amazing state that we live in, and give them opportunities and ideas for unique experiences throughout the state, where they can, instead of taking that European vacation that they were going to take, their dream vacation, they don't have to get rid of that dream. They can take that dream vacation here. So that's what that's focused on. And we are going to be really focused again on in-state travel in this thing, which is in this phase, which is something we have never done. So it'll give an opportunity for not only Floridians, but policymakers, legislators, to see the great work that we do and why tourism marketing is so important. Marketing phase 3, which is several months down the road, is going to focus on building partnerships with businesses that can directly bring people here. So we will be partnering with online travel agencies, with airlines, with tour operators that really do just almost physically bring people to the state of Florida. We will be entering into business partnerships with these types of companies. And then phase 4, which is, we don't have a set timeline, but this is when COVID is pretty much at least contained and we understand it and we're living with it. This is where we expand our efforts globally and ensure that Florida remains the top destination for travel in the world. We have spent a long time building market share in Europe and Latin America. We don't want that hard work to go to waste. And as we come out of this, I've been in several meetings with state tourism directors and other groups, and a lot of states are completely abandoning their international marketing. We believe that while it's certainly not even close to the time now, that would be a tremendous mistake for Florida to abandon marketing to other countries. And so at the right time, down the road, we are not only going to be looking to regain the market share that we've lost over this pandemic, but to capitalize on the fact that a lot of states are not going to be doing that type of marketing anymore, and actually grow our international market share and benefit the people of Florida with the money that that international travelers bring to our state. So with that, we are, let me make sure I've hit all the points. I wanted to mention one thing on the international. We've got travel bans in place, and clearly that's going to be driving our decision making. We are anything but tone deaf, and we're just, everything that we're doing is nimble and flexible, and we're going to be working to make sure that we do it right. So as we continue to work to overcome this crisis, we are offering special benefits. I'm getting a little bit of feedback. I'm not sure if somebody unmuted, but we are right. I'm just going to quickly read through the benefits that we have, because many of you on this call will be able to avail yourself of these benefits. So if you go to visitflorida.org, businesses have free access to the following resources, and these do not have to be Visit Florida partners. We've opened it up to all Florida tourism businesses in the state. So you can access all of our Visit Florida research, including the COVID-19 Florida Tourism Impacts Dashboard. So this is the data dashboard that we update every single day. Also, Listen First Travel Sentiment Analysis, Visitor Study, and Partner Tools. We also have a small business toolkit, which contains a great deal of business resources designed to improve marketing efforts and drive growth. Visit Florida webinar learning library, so you can access all of those webinars and watch them at your leisure. We're also offering complimentary business listings on visitflorida.org. In addition, later this month, Visit Florida will be rolling out an industry toolkit for tourism businesses to get involved in the recovery strategy that I mentioned earlier, and you can see it kind of laid out in this graphic on your screen. And it will include free promotional materials and shareable social media graphics. So if you are interested in more in partnering with us and finding out how, perhaps if you wanted to be involved in some of the co-op and some of the marketing opportunities, this Wednesday, June 3rd, we are hosting a webinar to unveil our annual cooperative marketing programs. And our CMO, Chief Marketing Officer, Stacy Melman, is going to be sharing more details on our phased approach. So we encourage you to get involved with that. I don't know what time it is, and I will look. And while I'm doing that, while I'm looking at my calendar, because we're also tech savvy, I will tell you that it is truly an honor to be able to participate on this call today with my friend Carol, and thank you so much for having me. And let's see, there it is, 10 o'clock Wednesday is the webinar, and you can go on visitflorida.org and get all the details. So with that, thank you, and I'm happy to answer questions. I know Carol is, so there we go.
So Dana, before we get back to questions, which I think the staff is compiling them, you mentioned on consumer confidence. I just want to share with you something that our team has been working on at FRLA for quite some time now. So, we've been asked a lot, how do you begin to build the confidence back that the consumer will want to go back inside, particularly on the restaurant side? So we have kind of dusted off the shelf a program called the Seal of Commitment that Jeff Lubkeman and the education and training team have been working on updating. We are the food safety trainer for the state, and so we already do a lot of food handler training and serve safe management training, but we've updated it to include the COVID-19 pandemic training. I mean, think about 6 months ago, who would have ever even known what social distancing meant, or what do you mean 6 feet apart, or wearing a mask in public? I mean, these are all so foreign to us, and now they're not today, but they were. So our training program includes all this. So the way this will work is that a company will go in and take their normal mandated training. We have to prove that you've taken your mandated training by state law, and then go beyond the call of duty by adding your COVID-19 training to it. And then once we audit it and make sure that all the staff is up to speed, we will be issuing a seal of commitment. And the seal is a gold seal. It's kind of based off of the, the diamond program or the good housekeeping seal of approval. I mean, what we want to do is work with your team, Dana, to market these restaurants and hotels that have gone above and beyond the mandatory training and really put forth the effort to make sure that this establishment has done everything possible to be safe for the public. And then this seal is what they can use in all of their marketing, their Facebook pages, put it on the door, and it allows them to have something visual to tell the consumer it is safe to come in here. We truly have done everything and beyond what is required of us to make it safe inside. So I'll be working with you, and our teams will be working together to get that launched soon, and we'd appreciate any help and partnership we could have with our good friends at Visit Florida to help us with it.
Absolutely. Yeah, that sounds great.
Hey, Carol, so we do have some questions coming in.
Okay, right.
Is there any time frame on the trajectory of the phasing, phase 2, phase 3, et cetera?
So I can answer that if you'd like, Dana. I had a call with the governor's office as well as our Secretary Halsey Bashirs, who's been incredible helping us. And there's not a specific date. I mean, I actually was kind of hoping that it was going to be this week, particularly given what's going on around the country right now. I don't see anything happening for sure, not this week, and probably not next week. I've been hearing little rumblings about the 19th, but I don't think that's anything that's necessarily coming out of the governor's office, just that giving it another couple of weeks of time to let this settle in and get some of these restaurants that never did open in the first part of phase 1, get them open. So, and then as it relates to bars, I'm getting a lot of questions about bars, and we're not getting any hard data yet on whether those guidelines are going to look like. We've submitted some guidelines, but we do not have a time frame for the opening of bars. So hopefully stay tuned. We hope it's going to happen soon.
Thank you, Carol. And this might be another one for Carol as well. But this is one of the FRLA members asked this question. When we go to the 75% capacity and eventually move to 100%, is the 6-foot distancing going to remain? It says, because the 6-foot distancing eliminates the possibility for a large volume of full service restaurants to reach an occupancy of over 40 to 50%.
That's a great question. We have been lobbying for a reduction to 4 feet. I think the challenge is that the CDC and federal requirements are using the 6 feet. And though, even in some cases our governor might feel good about it, I think, we're a little bit caught between the federal, regulation and breaking away from that as a state. However, I do believe that if the numbers continue to trend down or trend in, a lower trajectory, I think that we'll then begin to see that 6-foot number hopefully shrink, and maybe we can then go to 4 feet.
Thank you. And then this might be for Dana or Carol. Do we know if there will be a special session before July 1st regarding budget adjustments?
I think that's the $50 million question. We've heard a little bit of everything. If I had to guess, just in my former role as a legislator, I would say yes, but that is only my hunch, and it has nothing to do with anything that I've heard or anything that I know. But I just know we're in really tough times, and these revenue estimates are way down. And we were almost down again, like I said earlier, $900 million off for the month of April. May is going to be worse. So, if they can pull it off without one, then my hats are off to them, because it's going to be tough.
So here's another kind of tough one too. Can you share any insights on group meetings and social gatherings and what that might look like down the road? Your personal insights or what you might be able to see?
The meetings and conventions issue has been one that is extremely difficult. Think about theme parks. That's been very difficult, but you've had just the best minds in the industry working on how to safely open up Disney, Universal, Legoland. Meetings and conventions that's a different animal, and by their nature, they are meant to bring people close together so that they can interact and do business with one another. I've actually got a call later this week with somebody in Las Vegas who's been doing a lot of work on this issue. I've gotten a lot of emails from meeting and convention groups talking about protocols, but right now that remains a big question mark just on when the time is right for that, how you do it safely. But there are a lot of really smart people working on this, and I'm confident that we will be in a situation to bring that industry back. It is really, really critical to Florida that we get the meetings and conventions industry back. Carol, do you have anything to add on that?
I really don't, Dana. You know, on these type of calls, you wish that we could give specific dates, times, you know, yes or no's, know exactly. But, you know, Dana and I are both literally living a little bit day to day in a vacuum trying to figure out, because it just seems like tomorrow is always based on today's activity, and what, you know, first thing everybody looks at are the numbers. And so I think we just are in that time frame right now that everything is still an unknown, and so we're not getting any real solid answers. I'm getting asked that question often myself, and we did get a ruling from the Governor's General Counsel and our secretary over weddings. I will share this example with you. Obviously, this is a high wedding time, and a lot of our hotels are calling saying, what do I do? So let's say that you have a wedding of 100 people, and right now we're at the 50% capacity of a room. So then you would need to make sure that that wedding took place in a room that at least had capacity for 200 people to put 100 in there. The social distancing is still asked to have your tables the same thing, 6 feet apart from back of chair to back of chair, using common sense in certain places, like if there's the dance floor, trying to make sure people stay. It's hard. Staying that distance from each other is very challenging. But a lot of what came out of it was making sure that we use common sense approach, but that still adhering to all of the guidelines on social distancing from a spacing requirement regulation.
Thank you. And so this might be a question for maybe Jeff Lukeman or Carol. What about bars and hotel lobbies? Can they open?
Well, bars cannot open. So now, if you are a restaurant that does 51% of your sales are in food, you are a legitimate restaurant, you can open. They've been allowing some overflow seating in a bar area. Say you have a restaurant with a bar attached, but the bar itself cannot be open for the use of bar. You can have a bar open for people to go up and get a drink, but they cannot hover or hang or stay at the bar. So unless it is, if you're using it as part of a seating area, that is different, but absolutely no bars are open at this time. Jeff, Dana, anybody have anything extra to add to that?
This Jeff Lukeman. Carol, I think you covered it just right. Just to put a finer point on it, a lobby bar in a hotel that does not have food service would not be allowed to operate. If it's part of a food service operation, it would be allowed to operate. You can serve drinks across the bar for people to take and go sit at a table, but there's no seating for either food or alcohol at a bar top right now.
Correct.
Thank you. And so I think that's about it for the questions for now. I do have one more, sorry. Dana, when do you think that things will be somewhat back to normal, in your personal opinion?
Good luck with that one, Dana.
What a great question. Yeah, from my personal perspective, I wish it were yesterday. You know, no one wants life to return to normal more than Carol and I, Carol and me. But, you know, I think that is a question that if somebody tells you they have the answer to that question, don't believe anything they say, because as I've said to my staff a lot, we all can speculate and make predictions, but no one really knows anything. We're just doing our best with the data and the information that we're getting and trying to make the
Right.
best
Exactly.
decisions that we can make
Right.
with the information we have. But no one knows the answer to that. And that is why in the recovery marketing plan that I presented to you, we don't have specific dates attached to the different phases. We're going to be responding appropriately and moving along as events go forward. Carol, maybe Carol knows.
No,
Carol, do you know when things
no,
are returning
don't.
to normal?
If I had that, ability, then you and I could both be doing a lot of different things today. But no, I'm like Dana. I wish we knew. But I will say, and this is just a snapshot example of how we are living hour by hour and day by day. Like I said, yesterday, we were so excited that Miami, we finally are getting it open. And then just now, I just get a news alert that the restaurants, they're expecting some potential rioting. So the restaurants are closing down already, getting prepared. So who would have ever thought of that, even 72 hours ago? But now, again, that's that take 2 steps forward and 5 backwards. We're closing down restaurants that just got their doors open. So no, we don't have the answers to that, and we're just going to have to live day to day right now to see when this is going to turn around.
And then Jeff or Carol, do you guys want to mention about the bars that are outside, just to clarify for the group?
Carol, you want me to take that one? Carol, you're
Yes,
muted.
please. Yeah, go ahead. Go ahead, Jeff.
So outdoor bars have the same operating restrictions that an indoor bar does, which is to say, must be part of a food service operation. Cannot have anyone sitting at it or gathering at it. If you're already staffing that bar, especially if it's an interior bar, staffing it for service bar purposes, it's fine to sell and serve drinks across the bar, but the person needs to take that item and then move away from the bar. So that would apply to an outdoor bar as well.
Thank you, Jeff. So I think that's all the questions we have for today. Dana, Carol, do you guys want to do any closing remarks and then take it away?
Well, this has been great. Thank you guys for, letting us just have a candid conversation about what is going on in the Visit Florida world, and the FRLA world right now. And, we're here to answer any questions. Just, dyoung@visitflorida.org is my email, and happy to answer questions offline if anything comes up. Carol?
Again, I want to thank you, Dana, my colleague, partner, friend. I'm always enjoying working with you. I wish it was under better circumstances this time, but this too will pass. I want to reassure all of you that your team at both Visit Florida and FRLA are working very, very hard to do what we can to help get this industry propped back up on its feet. It's an industry we all love, and we're very passionate about what we do. So hang in there with us. We're hanging in there with you, and I look forward to a day in which we can have a lot brighter and better news to share.
Absolutely. Thank you, everybody.
Thank you.
Thank you.
All right. Are we okay?
I don't know how to leave, but
I'm all right. Bye, Dana.
Bye.
Bye.